Like a lot of you, I get really excited about tech product launches, but I honestly never thought that I would be this excited for a battery. This here right behind me is the Anker SOlix F3800. And as you can tell, just by looking at it, it's not just a traditional battery. It's actually a solar generator intended to power your entire house. As you might recall, I actually did a video on a pre-release version of this a couple months back, but now that they've finally pushed out the final production units, this means that we can finally put it to the test. If you watched my previous video, you probably noticed that I do have a little bit of a different setup here. The Anker SOlix F3800 now is wired into my house's electrical panel with a transfer switch. And if you're not familiar with a transfer switch or what it does, it's essentially a sub panel that allows you to route the different electrical loads from the different circuits for your house, allowing them to be powered from the grid or an alternate power source. And now typically this is going to be used with a gas generator, but more and more people are getting them installed into their houses for connections like this with lithium powered solar generators like the Anker SOlix F3800. Today I'm going to be showing you just how much of our house can be powered through the transfer switch and powered by the Anker SOlix F3800. But for those who aren't familiar with the specs of this unit, let's go over those really quick. The internal LFP battery cells deliver an overall capacity of 3,840 watt hours. But what makes this unit even more impressive is the built-in pure sine wave inverter that's capable of delivering 6,000 watts of power all at once. And if you do happen to need more power than that, you can actually pair two F3800s together to deliver 12,000 watts of output, which is pretty insane. And then there's the expandable batteries, allowing you to go from 3.8 kilowatts to 26.9 kilowatt hours with a single F3800, which is enough to power your average house for roughly a week or so. But if you do have two of them, of the main units, and max out all of the expansion batteries, that'll get you to 53.8 kilowatt hours, giving you 2 weeks of continuous power to your house. Along the right side, this is where you're going to find the AC power outlets for this unit, which includes 6 regular 120 volt 20 amp outlets, and then you have a 30 amp and a 50 amp outlet on the sides capable of delivering both 120 and 240 volts to power an RV, add some additional range to an electric vehicle if you have one of those, or connect it to a transfer switch like I have here in the house. Having dual 120 and 200 volt outputs makes this unit kind of unique for the segment, since most other devices within the similar category simply have a 120 volt outlet. You also have 3 USB-C ports that deliver 100 watts each, 2 12-watt USB-A ports for your older electronic devices, and also a DC car cigarette outlet that's capable of pushing 120 watts. The LFP battery chemistry that Anker SOlix is using allows the batteries to last up to 10 years with 3,000 full charge cycles before their overall capacity is depleted to 80% of the original charge. As I'm sure you're well aware, a lot of those smaller solar generators are intended to be portable devices so that you can take them with you when you go camping, or if you're simply wanting to have a movie night in the park, you can take it with you and you can definitely do that. But this one here, it was truly intended to be a backup power source for your entire house in case of a power outage. We've actually been lucky enough that we haven't lost power a single time this winter, but there was a huge storm that rolled through the area a couple weeks back that took down power lines for entire neighborhoods, leaving them without power for 3 whole days. I have also the Anker SOlix F3800, which would have been good enough to power the basics in a situation like this, but it would have been a little bit tricky having that unit in the middle of our house with extension cords running every which direction to power different things like appliances in the kitchen, lights in the rooms, and of course charging up our smartphones. But now that I have the F3800 and it's completely connected to the house through the transfer switch, this makes things a lot easier because I can simply flip the switch and power the circuits that we want in the house while the power unit stays down here in the basement, completely out of the way. And while this is in the basement, I do want to note that the F3800 is incredibly quiet, even when it's under heavy load. If you ever used a gas generator, you know how loud they can be. Even if it's just your neighbor running it, you'll still be able to hear it in your house, even a couple houses further down. And not only that, but you also have to deal with those gas fumes, which are always incredibly annoying and definitely not safe. And that's definitely not the case with a solar generator like this one. Okay, so let's put the Anker SOlix F3800 to the test. The first thing that we're going to do is to simulate a power outage by turning off the main power to the house. As you can see, the lights here in the basement are now off. But now let's open up the transfer switch and flip things over so that they can be powered by the F3800. Now for full disclosure, the transfer switch doesn't have enough circuits to power everything from our main electrical panel, but it does cover quite a bit. And of course, the basics and essentials like the boiler and the hot water heater are connected just to make sure that we have a hot water and heat just in case the power goes out. Now, both of those are gas powered, but they do require an electrical connection just to make sure that they are turned on. Other things that we do have connected to the transfer switch are things like lights in all of the rooms, outlets in the kitchen, including the microwave, the living room, and just to make sure that we can keep our modem and router and our TV powered up because, you know, we all need a little bit of entertainment. The bedrooms are also powered and the bathrooms as well. We also have the dryer and the washing machine connected. Now that we have all of the circuits on the transfer switch switched over to the power bank, let's go around the house to see how much we can power all at once from the Anker SOlix F3800. And while we're doing that, I'm going to be monitoring everything with the Anker SOlix app, which will keep track of how much power is being drawn at once and what the battery percentage is at while we are using things. So let's get to it. So we've got the TV running, a handful of lights turned on this first floor. The router and modem are plugged in so that we have Wi-Fi. And then the microwave is running in the kitchen along with the refrigerator and the freezer. But let's turn on a couple more devices. I think if we turn on the air fryer, we're gonna be able to push this a little bit higher. But right now we're only at between 1700 and 1800 watts. So we got a lot more power to push with the Anker SOlix F3800. Now, I don't think we've maxed out everything in the house, but I have pretty much every light turned on. We have things plugged in, smartphones charging, laptops charging, Google Home's plugged in. We have the microwave and the air fryer going. And we are just sitting a little bit over 3000 watts, which is pretty incredible. Now, of course, if you turn off the microwave and turn off the air fryer, doing just those two things took things down to about 450 watts. And based off of the output here, we've run through about 10% of the battery running those things for about 15 to 20 minutes now. But this says we have about 6 hours left. And if we take things down, turning off another light there in the kitchen, that drops to 380. This other one, turning off the second light, now we're down to 364 watts, which means we can run the system for about 8.5 hours, which if you're in a power outage, you're gonna be running less than that, which means the battery is gonna last you a lot longer. And just keep in mind, you can also add just a single expandable battery that will double your power output from this unit. If you're thinking about picking up the Anker SOlix F3800 for yourself, be sure to check out the link in the video description below. This helps support the channel, but also make sure that you're getting the best deals possible. I also highly recommend picking up the transfer switch as well, since it allows you to connect everything directly to your home electrical system, making things a whole lot easier. If you have any questions about the current setup and what I've been using for the last couple of weeks, feel free to drop those in the comments below and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thanks to Anker SOlix for sponsoring this video. I'll catch you in the next one.